Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Karen by Design and thank you for joining me for another video, guys. So yes, I've been gone for quite some time and really I have no excuse or no explanation, but I'm hoping you guys will welcome me back with open arms and all of that good stuff. Anyhow, today I'm kind of dibbling and dabbling, or I should say I'm kind of moving away what I've done previously on this channel, which has always been beauty focused. But today I'm going to be in the kitchen and I want to give you guys like a glimpse as to what I do in the kitchen, or what it's like to be in the kitchen with me, Karen. So I am going to be preparing a midweek dinner. Now guys, honestly, this video was not planned. I literally got up and said, you know what, let me just record what I'm going to do. I am going to be making, again, midweek. This is a midweek meal. I'm not going to say I've thrown it together because there are things in the refrigerator that I can choose from, but I just want something really fast, simple, easy, and still delicious. So I've opted to make some boiled dumplings, cabbage and bully beef, or cabbage and corn beef, I should say. And for Bay, he's gonna get a fried red snapper that I'm gonna cook down because he's a little bit bougie and doesn't really like too much of the canned meat. Nor do I. I mean, that's not something that I typically have. I probably have this like maybe, I would say no more than 4 times a year. Like, it's something that I do not eat often, but today I got up and I felt like having some, so I said why not. Anyhow, so that's what we're going to be preparing in the kitchen today. I'm not going to ramble on too long. Let's just get into this video, guys. So I'm going to start off with the boiled dumplings since they will take the longest to cook. You really just need 3 ingredients: flour, salt, and water. So I'm starting off with about 2.5 to 3 cups of all-purpose flour and just some regular salt to taste. Then I'm going to go in with my fork and add the water to kind of combine the flour and the salt together. Then I'm going to go in with my very, very clean, and I can't stress this enough, very clean hands. I've scrubbed under my nails. My hands are very clean, and I'm going to start to knead my flour and into a nice dough. Now, if you're not comfortable using your bare hands, alternatively, you can use gloves. But of course, this is for myself and my family, so we're fine with that. I'm going to set that aside and start on my fish. Okay guys, so off camera, I've gone ahead and I've scaled my fish. I also trimmed around the fish and the gills and also the tail so that my fish is nicely groomed and it's looking neat. Next, I made sure to wash my fish really well. I used a solution of fresh lime and salt. I let it sit and then I proceeded to wash the inside and outside of my fish with that lime, rinse and repeat to my satisfaction. Next, I'm going to go ahead and season my fish. Now, normally salt and pepper is absolutely fine, but I've opted to use a mixture of onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, salt, and all-purpose seasoning. And I made sure that I seasoned this fish really well. All of those slits that I made in the fish, as well as the cavity of the fish, make sure you get that seasoning rubbed in really well, but watch your fingers because there are bones. So I set the fish aside now just for a moment, and went ahead and I started to divide up my dough so that I can start to form my dumplings. Now, this just helps in ensuring that my dumplings are relatively the same size and I know how much portions I'm going to get out of my dumplings. So now, as you can see, I am just starting to form them. I kind of roll them up into a ball and then I kind of turn them inside of themselves and I shape it into a nice dough. I'm not into ugly dumplings, so I try to make my dumplings as uniform and as symmetrical as possible. So that's what I'm doing here, and after that we will proceed to putting them on the fire. Okay, so now in a large pot of boiling water, I am adding my dumplings to the pot and they will just cook. Once you see them start to come to the top, about 20-25 minutes, you know that they're done. Okay, so I'm back to my fish now, and I've just put on a frying pan with enough oil to cover the bottom of the pan, and I make sure that my oil is on medium to high heat because it's going to prevent the fish from sticking. And I just go ahead and I cook the fish until it's nice and golden. It's about, I would say about 4 minutes per side. Fish doesn't take long to cook. So here I am flipping the fish and removing it from the oil. Okay, so I went ahead and removed some of the excess oil, and in the same frying pan that I was using to fry the fish, I'm going to go ahead and add my aromatic vegetables. So I'm adding my onion, I'm adding my garlic, and I'm adding some pimento. I'm just going to soften that up a little bit. Then I'm going to proceed to add my scallion or green onion, and I'm going to add what little bit of thyme that I had and some, I think they're serrano peppers. Unfortunately, I didn't have any Scotch bonnet pepper, which would have been ideal, but that's just how it goes during the week. Sometimes you have to make do with what you have in the fridge. Now I'm going to add a little bit of water to that pan, and I'm going to kind of let everything kind of just come together while getting everything at the bottom that was left behind from the fish when I was frying it. This is just kind of making sure everything comes together really nicely. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some white vinegar. I actually added more than what you saw me add there. So I added about a tablespoon of white vinegar, also a tablespoon of ketchup, and maybe about a half a teaspoon of sugar. Now this is all just approximate. You have to go according to your taste buds. And in cooking, everything is about balance. So I had to balance out the acidity of the vinegar with a little bit of sweetness from the sugar. And of course, the ketchup kind of rounds everything out, as well as those veggies. Now, once this all starts to come together the way I want it to, I'm going to now go in and add a little bit of black pepper. And I'm also going to add the rest of my vegetables, which are some carrots that I julienned, and some red bell peppers and yellow bell peppers. Now I'm adding these later because I want them to still have some bite to them. So I'm just going to bring everything together and let it simmer out for a couple of seconds, and then I'm going to return the fish back to the pan. So I'm going to let this simmer down for a little bit. As you can see, I'm just making sure that all of the vegetables are on the bottom and on the top so that everything can come together. I'll go ahead and cover this and let it simmer, not for very long, just so that everything can kind of, again, come together. And that's pretty much it. The fish is done. I forgot to add, I did add some butter, just about a half teaspoon. Okay, so now that the fish and dumplings are done, we're moving on to the corned beef and cabbage. So now in a separate pan, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of oil and add my onions and let that kind of cook until it's nice and soft. Then I'm going to go in with the remainder of my red bell peppers and yellow bell peppers, and I'm just going to let that soften just a little bit. Once it's at the stage that I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and add that corned beef, guys. So once I kind of got the corned beef heated through, I went ahead and I added my cabbage. This is about 3 to 3.5 cups of Napa cabbage. That's what was in my fridge. And I'm just going to stir that all together, make sure that it's nicely combined and everything is commingling together. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add some black pepper. I didn't add any salt at this stage because I wanted to taste it to determine whether or not it needed salt, but I did go in and add some salt because I found that it did need a little bit of salt. But then I just continued to, make sure everything came together, make sure that all of the flavors were mingling and working well together, and just simmer it down or let it cook down for about 5 minutes, and that's pretty much it. So here's the completed cabbage and corned beef dish. I would had loved to have some Scotch bonnet, but Scotch bonnet isn't as easy to come by in Calgary. So here is the final dish for you guys plated up. It is the boiled dumpling and red snapper fried and cooked down. And of course, again, the boiled dumpling and cabbage and corned beef cooked down. I also did fry some ripe plantain on the side, and I didn't film that because that's pretty basic. I just put on some oil and fried it up. Now I will be enjoying some pepper sauce with my cabbage and corned beef, which I think is really necessary, but overall it was delicious. Tell me what you think, and let me know if you enjoy this type of video. If you did, make sure you leave it a thumbs up, and I'll be sure to see you in my next video. Until then, bye for now.